Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom show, going through the core topics of Islam. The studio hotline is 0114 2425 200, or you can WhatsApp or text on 0788 5599 786. Just like to say a huge welcome to all our listeners on Iman FM 103.1 FM in Sheffield, Dawn FM in Nottingham, and Inspire FM in Luton, as well as all of those listening via the TuneIn app. And to remind you that the repeat show takes place Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. On Iman 103.1 FM in Sheffield, or via the TuneIn app. So if you download the TuneIn app and search for Iman FM, you can then listen to the repeat show on Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. Alhamdulillah, we've got a show planned for you. Brother Yousef, inshallah, will be here shortly, and we'll continue with the way that he so eloquently teaches us the fundamentals of our religion. But unfortunately, up until then, you just stuck with me for a little while. So I quickly just want to go through a couple of events that are happening here in Sheffield. Firstly, on Saturday, the 29th of April, there's a South Asian Mental Health Awareness Conference, which is taking place at the PMC, 10 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. It's free. For all people who want to learn about mental health. So you need to confirm your attendance. And so if you just want to search for it on the internet, PMC, Saturday the 29th of April, and you can find out all the information about the talks that are taking place. And I've been told there's some really prominent speakers that are going to be there as well. So that's the first event. That's on Saturday the 29th of April. And the second event that I want to talk to you about is a charity event which will be taking place on the 12th of May. Now, alhamdulillah, Families Relief, which is a small charity with a big heart, and this charity, mashallah, I say that because it's got a 100% donation policy. So every single penny that you give, whether it be zakat, sadaqah, lillah, whatever donation type it is, it doesn't make a difference. Every single penny of that goes toward the poor and the needy. Nothing is taken out for administration costs. They have their own ways of generating funds and revenue in order to cover the admin costs. Because every organisation will have admin costs, whether it be leaflets, employees, getting the money to the other countries. There's a cost involved in that as well. So they have other ways of paying for that. And so your donation, not a single penny is taken out. And alhamdulillah, they've got an evening of enlightenment with Ashiq al-Rasul. So Ashiq al-Rasul will be coming down to perform some nasheed, some naats, to soften our hearts, to increase our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to bring joy to us. And also, you'll be given a 3-course meal, mashallah. And the tickets are only £10 a ticket. So a £10 ticket, that's for adults and children, and that's the early bird offer. So the quicker you get your tickets, the better it is, because it will go up to £15 for adults later on. And that takes place on Friday, the 12th of May, at the Ambassadors Lounge, John Street, Sheffield. And it starts at 7 p.m. The doors open at 6:30 p.m. So inshallah, you've got plenty of time after you finish work or school or college, university, to pop down and have a nice evening where you, like I mentioned, you get a 3-course meal. You'll have some entertainment from Ashiq Rasul, and also you'll be given an update of what the cause is. So, to give you a quick update now, the cause is to feed the fasting. The aim of the night is to give 100,000 meals this Ramadan. Yeah? So we want to raise enough money to give 100,000 meals this Ramadan. Because what you tend to find, and I've heard from people working charity for a long time, that people start giving money in Ramadan, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The only issue is, by the time it gets to, gets to the people, yeah, it might be the 5th, 6th, 10th of Ramadan. So they've gone a good few days, maybe a week or even longer, maybe the whole of the first Ashura, and they've not had a solid suhoor or iftar, so they're not being able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way that they wanted to, because these people are on the poverty line. You know, they are absolutely destitute in what they have. And inshallah, these meals will be spread over 5 countries, and 100,000, 20,000 in each of these countries. And that's the aim that we're looking to do on that night. So whatever you can give from your zakat, your sadaqah, your lillah, whatever kind of donation you want to give, you can go there and you can give your donation. And like I mentioned, it's just £10, which will get you in, and it will also allow you to have your meal, have some entertainment, and also find out more about the issue, the problem which is occurring with our brothers and sisters across the world. So if you want more information about that, you can phone in the studio hotline 0114 2425 200. You can WhatsApp or text it on 07885599786, or you can phone the ticket hotline, which is 0114 365 4454. That's 0114 365 4454. You can contact myself, Brother Mashood, Brother Abdul Qadir Guljar, or even Brother Waj, and inshallah we'll be able to give you more details about this event as well. So mashallah, they're the two main announcements that we had for today, alhamdulillah. And inshallah, we've just come to the end of the holy month of Rajab. So one of the greatest event to take place in Rajab, and I'm sure most people have heard about this event over the last week or so, is the Isra wal Miraj of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was taken on a miraculous journey, absolutely incredible, from his home in Makkah to Masjid al-Aqsa, up through the heavens, and then beyond creation itself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Absolutely phenomenal. And I'm sure that most of you have heard this event in some detail, probably heard the overview of it. So I've got a book in front of me called The Prophets Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Night Journey and Heavenly Ascent, and it's written by Sayyid Muhammad ibn al-Awi al-Maliki, and it's translated and notes by Sheikh Jibreel Fuad Haddad. And I thought what I could do while we're waiting for Brother Yousef to come is talk about one aspect of this amazing journey, because I think I was speaking to Uncle Shabir about this before, and I think that a lot of people spend a lot of time going through this fantastic journey, and it's about covering every aspect of it. So the only aspect that I really want to talk about is the divine meeting itself, where the Prophet ﷺ was taken beyond creation, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not part of creation, beyond where Jibreel alayhi salam, the greatest of angels, could not go alayhi salam. He could not get there, but the Prophet ﷺ was taken to wherever this place is, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beyond creation. And so I'm just going to read from this book, and this chapter is called The Divine Meeting. So the Prophet ﷺ was taken to a point where he heard the scratching of the pens writing the divine decree. He saw a man who had disappeared into the light of the throne. He said, "Who is this? Is this an angel?" It was said to him, "No." He said, "Is it a prophet?" Again the answer was no. He said, "Who is it then?" The answer was, "This is a man whose tongue was moist with Allah's remembrance in this world, and and his heart was attached to the mosques, to the masjids, and he never incurred the curse of his father and mother." Subhanallah. Then the Prophet ﷺ saw his Lord, the glorious, the exalted, and he fell prostrated. And that time his Lord spoke to him and said, "O Muhammad ﷺ." He replied, "Twice at your service, O Lord." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Ask." The Prophet ﷺ said, "You have taken to yourself Ibrahim as an intimate friend, Khalil, and you have given him an immense kingdom. You have spoken to Musa directly, and I have given Daud an immense kingdom and softened iron and subjugated the mountains to him. You have given Sulaiman an immense kingdom and subjugated the jinn and men and devils to him, as well as the winds, and you have given him a kingdom the like of which no one may have after him. You have taught Isa the Torah and the Evangel, and made him heal those born blind and the lepers, and raise up the dead with your permission, and you have protected him and his mother from the cursed devil, so that the devil had no path by which to harm him. So I'm going to stop the quote here, and alhamdulillah, I went on a course many years ago, and the Sheikh mentioned at this point that the Prophet ﷺ, he praised all the other Anbiya, he praised the prophets, and who is the next prophet? The next prophet after Isa al-Islam is himself. And he was too shy. He didn't know what to say about himself. You know, and the shyness was a quality of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds. SubhanAllah. So continuing. And Allah Azza wa Jal said, I have taken you to myself as my beloved and intimate friend. The narrator said, it is written in the Torah, Habibullah, Allah's beloved. Allah continued, I have sent you for all people without exception, a bearer of glad tidings and a warner. I have expanded your breast for you and relieved you of your burden and exalted your name, as I am not mentioned except you are mentioned with me. SubhanAllah. I have made your community the best community ever brought out for the benefit of mankind. I have made your community a mean and a middle. I have made your community in truth the first and the last of all communities. I have made public address al-khutbah impermissible for your community unless they first witness that you are my servant and messenger. I have placed certain people in your community with evangels for hearts. I have made you the first prophet created and the last one sent and the first one heard in my court. I have given you the 7 of the oft repeated which I gave to no other prophet before you. And just to interject, that's the Surah Al-Fatiha. I have given you the last verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, which constitute a treasure from under my throne, which I gave to no other prophet before you. I have given you Al-Kawthar. I have given you 8 lots: Islam, emigration, Al-Hijrah, Jihad, charity, As-Sadaqah, fasting in Ramadan, ordering good and forbidding evil. And the day I created the heavens and the earth, I made obligatory upon you and your community 50 prayers. Therefore establish them, you and your community. Al-Shami added, Abu Hurairah said that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, my Lord has preferred me over everyone else. He has sent me as a mercy to the worlds and to all people without exception, a bearer of glad tidings and a warner. He has thrown terror into the hearts of my enemies at a distance of 1 month's travel. He has made spoils of war lawful for me while they were not lawful for anyone before me. The entire earth has been made ritually pure place of prostration for me. I was given the words that open, those that close, and those that are comprehensive in meaning. My community was shown to me, and there is none of the followers and the followed, but he is known to me. I saw that they would come to a people and wear hair-covered sandals. I saw that they would come to a people of large faces and small eyes, as if they had been pierced with a needle. Nothing of what they would face in the future was kept hidden from me. I have been ordered to perform 50 prayers daily. Let's just stop in the quote here. Subhanallah. MashaAllah. How amazing. How breathtaking. Do you not feel so, just by saying Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, so blessed that we are in the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at all these gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. being in the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. We haven't done anything to earn these. These were what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy upon us, that He chose us to be in the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. He subhanahu wa ta'ala could have put us in the ummah of any of the prophets. He could have put us, He didn't need to put Iman into our hearts. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His infinite mercy has given us Iman. And not just Iman, He's given us made us part of the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, and all these gifts He's given specifically to the Prophet ﷺ, and we have got them through the Prophet ﷺ. Should we not be grateful servants? Should we not show thanks? So just continue in the book now. And He has given 3 particular merits. He is the master of messengers, Sayyid al-Mursaleen, the leader of the God-wary, Imam al-Muttaqeen, and the chief of those with signs of light on their faces and limb. One narration says that the Prophet ﷺ was given the 5 daily prayers and the last verse of Surah Baqarah. For his sake, whoever of his community does not associate anything with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiven even the mortal sins. Then the cloud that cloaked him was dispelled, and Jibreel alayhi salam took him by the hand and sped away with him until he reached Ibrahim alayhi salam, who did not say anything. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam reached Musa alayhi salam, who asked, "What did you do, O Muhammad? What obligations did your Lord impose on you and your community?" He sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, "He imposed 50 prayers every day and night on me and my community." Musa alayhi salam said, "Return to your Lord and ask Him to lighten your burden for that of your community. For in truth your community will not be able to carry it. Verily I myself have experienced people's dispositions before you. I tested the children of Israel and took the greatest pains to hold them to something easier than this. And they were too weak to carry it, and they abandoned it. Those of your community are even weaker in their bodies and constitutions, and in their hearts, their sight and their hearing." The Prophet ﷺ turned to Jibreel alayhi salam to consult him. The latter indicated to him that yes, if he wished, then he could return. The Prophet ﷺ sped back until he reached the tree, and the cloud cloaked him, and he fell prostrate. Then he said, "My Lord, make light of the burden of my community, for verily they are the weakest of all communities." He subhanahu wa ta'ala replied, "I have removed 5 prayers from their obligation." The cloud was dispelled, and the Prophet ﷺ returned to Musa alayhi salam and told him, "He subhanahu wa ta'ala has removed 5 prayers from my obligation." Musa alayhi salam replied, "Go back to your Lord and ask Him to make it less. For in truth your community will not be able to carry that." The Prophet ﷺ did not cease to go back and forth between Musa ﷺ and his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala, while Allah azza wa jal each time reduced it by 5 prayers, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "O Muhammad," the Prophet ﷺ said, "Twice at your service, O Lord." He said, "Let them be 5 prayers every day and night, and let every prayer count as 10. That makes 50 prayers. This word of mine shall not be changed, nor shall my book be abrogated. Let whoever is about to perform a good deed, even if he does not ultimately do it, receive the reward of doing it, while if he does it, he shall receive it tenfold. Let whoever is about to commit a bad deed, and he does not ultimately do it, let not anything be written against him, while if he does, let one misdeed be written against him." Just stopping the quote there. Subhanallah. You know, we've heard these hadiths, but some of you sat with me in the studio, and we've heard these hadiths, but look at how it's been revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. Look at the power and the majesty that's happening here. Look at the love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing the Prophet ﷺ. He ordained 50, and it went down to 5. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His immense mercy, goes, "I will still give you the reward of 50. Each one is worth 10. So Fajr is worth 10, Dhuhr is worth 10, Asr is worth 10, Maghrib is worth 10, Isha is worth 10. You know, inshallah, we've prayed our Maghrib, and many of you are praying Isha now, or you'll be coming. Make sure you pray your Isha, it's worth 10. You know, subhanallah. And then we've heard these narrations about you think of a good deed, yeah, and you get a reward for it, even if you don't do it. And if you do it, you get 10. You think of doing something bad and you don't do it, you get a reward for it. When did that happen? That happened in the courtyard beyond creation, beyond the creation, where it was just the Prophet ﷺ and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's where this gift was given to the Prophet ﷺ. This gift of salah was given. This gift as well was given there as well. Subhanallah. So just continuing from the book now, there's only a couple of minutes left. Then the cloud was dispelled, and the Prophet ﷺ returned to Musa ﷺ and told him, he has removed 5 prayers from my obligation. He replied, Musa replied, go back to your Lord and ask him to make it less. For in truth your community will not be able to carry that. The Prophet ﷺ said, I have gone back again to my Lord until I feel too shy before him. Rather I accept and submit. At this Harel called out, I have decreed my obligation and have reduced the burden of my servants. Musa then said to the Prophet ﷺ, return back down in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So stopping this quote then. So this is when it went down to them. And like I mentioned before, one of the shuyukhs mentioned, at this point there was there's two things here. Firstly, the Ummah of Musa al-Islam had 2 prayers. So what I've heard from the shuyukh is that maybe Musa al-Islam was thinking that his community struggled with 2, so to try and get ours down below that's why he kept sending the Prophet ﷺ back to get to at least 2 or maybe even 1 to make it easy for us. But alhamdulillah, we've got the 5 daily prayers. MashaAllah, it's a great blessing for us. And the other thing that I heard from the shuyukh about this aspect, which is amazing, is that whenever the Prophet ﷺ returned, he'd been in the company of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Musa al-Islam, what Musa al-Islam was seeing on the face of the Prophet ﷺ was so beautiful, was so magnetic that he wanted, because the Musa al-Islam couldn't go there, he wanted the Prophet ﷺ to keep going back and getting more of being in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and coming back and the greatness that was on the face of the Prophet ﷺ. He wanted to keep on seeing this and being in this, so he kept on saying to the Prophet ﷺ, go back. So there were 2 reasons. One, which was great for us, which lowered us down, because we struggle with 5 daily salah, so what would we do with 50, you know? And then the other was that Musa al-Islam himself was gaining so much pleasure out of seeing the Prophet ﷺ being in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So alhamdulillah, we're just going to come to a very quick ad break now, and inshallah Brother Yousef will be back after the break, and you'll get the usual Pearls of Wisdom show, so hopefully there'll be less of me. But just to remind you that the studio hotline is 0114 2425 200, or you can WhatsApp or text on 07 88 55 99 786. That's 07 88 55 99 786. And don't forget, in this break, just send plenty of durood upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His Jummah, it's a great act to do. See you in a bit, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This is your local community station, Iman FM on 103.1 FM.
नात क्या है निगहतों की सरजमी का तज़किरा, नात क्या है सब हसीनों से हसी का तज़किरा। प्रोग्राम नात क्या है, जिसमें आदाब नात, अदायगी नात और तलफ़ुज़ नात पर गुफ्तगू की जाएगी। हर मंडे की शाम 8 बजे कारी मोहम्मद शहजाद के साथ, सिर्फ ईमान एफएम पर।
In a world where accident claims are poorly managed and the referral fees paid are so low, and just when all hope is lost in the city of Sheffield, a hero emerges. A hero so powerful, one phone number is all you need. A hero named Mr. Compensator. For your referral fee of £2,000, call Mr. Compensator now on 0114 3863 386. Terms and conditions apply.
ओ दोस्ता बनी ठणी तक कित्थे तैयारियां नी
मैं जुलियानो जुमेरा
ओ दुबई जा रहे
नहीं जुमेरा स्पाइस रेस्टोरेंट
उत्थे क्या खास है
1976 दी देसी रवायती खाने जेड़े पाकिस्तान ने जाने माने शेफ बनाने ने खाई ते वतन नी याद अच्छा है लैम चाप चिकन बोटी लीवर टिक्का चिकन काबली मेन डिशां विच देसी स्टाइल हाउस स्पेशल कढ़ाइयां ते बाल्टी डिशां अच्छी तरह खाओ या डिलीवरी करो
जुमेरा स्पाइस रेस्टोरेंट 1 The Common Actresfield Sheffield S35 9WJ 01142 467 238
मैं जा रही हूँ द बाजार में
For a great happy shopping day, visit the bazaar. You will love the new bazaar.
जहाँ पर हर तरह के नए फैशन अच्छी कीमतों के साथ खुले हैं।
Visit the bazaar at Syme Street, BD1 3RB, former Rawson Market.
Open every Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Also every Wednesday at Leeds Kirkgate Market.
द बाजार जहाँ आपको हर किस्म की चीज मिल सकती है।
The bazaar. Ooh yeah. मेरा नाम आयशा है और मेरा ताल्लुक कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट मीरपुर से है। कोर्ट एजुकेशनल कॉम्प्लेक्स चरिकस मेरे ख्वाबों की जन्नत जहां बेहतरीन देखभाल आला तालीम बेपनाह प्यार और मेहरबान शफकत हम सबको हासिल है। अब फेज 2 में 500 बच्चों और बच्चियों के लिए रिहायशगाहें बन रही हैं और इसके लिए 9 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए। मुझे यकीन है आप मायूस नहीं करेंगे।
Kashmir Orphans Relief Trust 0300 123 774 court.org.uk. Iman FM on air 24/7 365. We're ready to help you promote your business to your target market, from airtime campaigns to program sponsorship, social media interaction to online campaigns that'll reach your customers quickly and effectively. Call us now on 0114 242 0551 or email info@imanfm.com and let's get things happening to your business with Iman FM.
ओ दोस्ता ओ मेरी स्पीडिंग टिकट है मैं क्या करा
तू खान सोलिसिटर्स की कॉल कर उन्हां कोल स्पेशल टीम ही जेडी रोड ट्रैफिक केसेस रेड लाइटां नो इंश्योरेंस तो किनी के इमिग्रेशन फ्रॉड मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग पर्सनल इंजरी क्लेम सिविल लिटिगेशन ते कत्ल दे केस भी हल करने ने ते जे तुसा समझो कि पुलिस तुसे नाल कोई ज्यादती कीती है ते ओ कंपनसेशन भी दुआने ने ओ खान चढ़ा माड़ी जान
Khan Solicitors 351 Abbeydale Road Sheffield 0114 258 3399
Connecting you to your community. This is Iman FM.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Pearls of Wisdom show, going through the core topics of Islam. So just to remind you that the WhatsApp number is 07 88 5599 786. And alhamdulillah, we're blessed by the presence of Brother Yousef. MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Yousef.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Qaasim, mashallah, you held up the fort very well.
Astaghfirullah, mashallah. I learned from the best, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. So, and we've also got Brother Sikandar. And we've got the Sufi master as well, mashallah. Even though the show title's changed, but we will still call him by his old title. Alhamdulillah. So, mashallah, Brother Yousef, today, blessed day of Jummah. Alhamdulillah. So, blessed day to descend durood upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Most definitely.
Yeah, mashallah. How much should we be doing?
The durood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is basically, it's up to you. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told one of his companions, Ubay ibn Ka'ab, the more you do it, the better it is for you. So the more you do, the better it is. So it's basically the ball's in your court. And that's why the people in the past, before they took their last breath, literally had done billions of durood. So we should try at least get up the ranks somewhat, inshallah, before we breathe our last, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, Brother Yousef, what's the target? What's the topic? Sorry, what's the topic today?
The topic and the target, Brother Qaasim, inshallah, is because, alhamdulillah, the blessed month of Sha'ban has entered. And we're heading towards the glorious month of Ramadan.
Subhanallah.
So obviously in the month of Ramadan, people roll their sleeves up and they do the various good deeds. But our objective should never be forgotten. And our objective is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course our true home, i.e. paradise. So inshallah, leading up to the holy month of Ramadan, to give encouragement to brothers and sisters, to remind ourselves of our true and blessed, exalted and purified home, inshallah.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair, Brother Yousef. So I think without further ado, Bismillah.
Jazakallah khair. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala Rasuli al-Kareem. Amma ba'd. So the first port of call is a hadith from Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. In Bayhaqi, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu, he said, nothing in paradise resembles anything of this world except in name. Allahu Akbar. Nothing in paradise resembles anything of this world except in name. So this narration of the great Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu should always be kept in mind when discussing the fathomless subject of paradise. You should never at any moment think, I've sussed it. I've got my mind around it. The answer is no, you will never get your mind around it. However, we must strive, we must try. And this is why one of the scholars said we've been given this great and glorious gift of our mind. The mind's eye is truly an amazing gift. You can, imagine so many things, and this is the gift that Allah Ta'ala has given us to use to try and get some sort of picture with regards to paradise. But always bear in mind, there's no resemblance. The words you're uttering are the only resemblance. That's it. Apart from that, even the most lowliest thing in paradise is beyond your comprehension. What does it mention in the Quran? So I'm going to quote this verse, Brother Qaasim, and you tell me what's strange in this verse. So in Surah Insan, Surah 76, verse 20, Allah the Almighty and Glorious, He says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. Translation. And when you look, again, when you look, you will see bliss and a kingdom magnificent. So I'll say that again. And when you look, again, when you look, you will see bliss and a kingdom magnificent. What straight away strikes out in that holy verse, Brother Qaasim?
The repetition.
The repetition. Yeah. So even without a commentary, why is Allah the Almighty and Glorious saying, look, and you look again? In the worldly sense, you only do that if there's something amazing you're looking at. For example, a poor example, obviously, dunya terms, the Mona Lisa. To a person who doesn't know nothing about art, it's just a painting. So an expert, what would he say to you? Look. So you look, okay. What would he say to you immediately after that? He goes, look again. Now, why is he telling you to look again? Because you don't understand what you're looking at. So this is the worldly example. Or an astronomer, he will say, look at the stars. Today, subhanAllah, I'll mention this on the news. One of the probes that went to Saturn, it launched 1997 and it reached there in 20 years, imagine. And it's going around Saturn and it's brought this image back. And when I heard what the narrator was saying, I thought, Allahu Akbar, what an amazing statement he's made. It was basically an image of a ring of Saturn. But in the distance you saw a little dot, like a little very faint star. And there was a still picture. And the narrator says, what is that little dot you see? And he goes, that's us, that's Earth. So I looked at that. Obviously you look and you think, look at how insignificant we are. From Saturn, we're just a little blip. But then I thought to myself, look at all this activity taking place on this small Earth. Everybody thinks that they've got the world. And yet the entire world in its entirety is a blip. And it was on the news. SubhanAllah, you might have watched it, Brother Qaasim. You're quite an addict with regards to the worldly affairs. But anyway, mashallah, but there you go. The world is basically something very insignificant. So now in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you look, again when you look, then what does he say, Brother Qaasim? Na'imu wa mulkan kabira. Now the word na'im, I'm sure you know Surah Takathur. Al-Hakum al-Takathur hatta zurtum al-Maqabir. I won't put you on the spot, Brother Qaasim. But the last verse of that beautiful surah, what does it say? ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. On that day, you shall be questioned about, na'im means the bounties. You will be questioned about the blessings on that day. So na'im means blessings, bounties. The same word Allah Ta'ala uses about paradise. Look at the words. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا. You will observe blessings and bliss. Then he says, وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. Mulk means a kingdom, kabira means infinite. So just from these few choice words, na'im, bliss, blessings, mulkan kabira, an eternal kingdom. What does that one verse tell you about paradise? Right? If somebody goes, what does the Quran say about paradise? That one verse, if you truly reflect upon it, it tells you everything you need to know. So the verse again, Surah 76, verse 20. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. And when you look, again when you look, you will see bliss, magnificence, and a kingdom immense. So Allah Ta'ala has given you the answer in the Quran. So now, Brother Qaasim, before we enter the blessed and holy abode of paradise, what must you pass through?
The world.
MashaAllah. And after the world?
The Day of Judgment.
And after the Day of Judgment?
Go get through the gate.
Gates. Let's get to the gates, Brother Qaasim. We'll come to all that some other time, right? So the gates of paradise. Now, normally when you, for example, if I was to say to you, this wouldn't make sense. So let's say you're very eager to go to a place. So as a child, you were probably very eager to go to the Alton Towers, mashallah. So, sweet shop, mashallah. But let's think bigger scale, mashallah. Right? So Alton Towers. Now, if I was trying to encourage you to go, would I ever start discussing the gates?
I doubt it very much.
Why are you talking about the gates? If I say, oh, the gates are made of metal and they're painted with metallic paint, you think, why are you talking about the gates? So now think about this. We've got texts discussing the gates of paradise. So a person straight away thinks, well, with all respect to those reports, I want to get into paradise. No, you missed the point. If our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is talking about the gates, it means there's something about them you need to know. So what do we know about these gates? So now, Brother Qaasim, you can't help it. I'm sure Brother Sikand the same. When you think of the gates of paradise, astaghfirullah, this is what your mind thinks like this. It's like a creaky gate. When you go, and you go through, and you're thinking, well, mashallah, welcome to Narnia. I don't think Narnia is one of the paradises, right? So the gates, what are the gates? The hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, our beloved Messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the distance between the two panel of the gates of paradise is the journey from Makkah to Hijr or Busra. So a person goes, what? Let's say that again. The distance between the two panels of the gates of paradise is the journey from Makkah to Hijr or Busra. So let me put that into English, Brother Qaasim. If I was to say to you, one part of the gate to the other part of the gate is from Saudi Arabia to Syria, you would think, I think Brother Yousef has blown a fuse. He goes, how can a gate start in one country and end up in another country? Well, which hadith is this? Bukhari and Muslim, the most authentic of all the collections. The Prophet ﷺ said, this is a gate of paradise. Now stay away. What's happened to your gate? Image of a gate, Brother Qaasim.
I'd say it's gone out the window, but there's no window big enough.
But there you go. So stay away. You have to get rid of these misconceptions. So now, Brother Qaasim, we're not ulama, we're not scholars. We've got a sheikh in the corner, but he's being very humble, mashallah. But if I was to hazard a guess, why has Allah the Almighty and Glorious made these gates so vast? What would you say?
Well, naturally you'd think there's going to be billions of people trying to get through these gates.
There you go. Now this is important. Now another misconception. And be honest, Brother Qaasim, don't say that, I never thought of this. I certainly thought of this. I thought when people enter paradise, it's like one by one. You get a turnstile when you're watching football. And you're going through one by one with a ticket. People do not enter paradise like that. They enter in waves. Think about that. You'll be holding hands, for example. Let me give you a hadith. Tabarani in his Saghir, Awsat and Kabir. The Prophet ﷺ said, if a person embraces Islam at your hands, you and him will enter paradise holding hands. Meaning, this is one of the blessings, the incredible blessings of doing da'wah. You will hold hands and you will enter. How do you hold hands and enter paradise? Now think about it. If he then does da'wah and somebody else embraces Islam, there's three of you. Let me ask you a question. How on earth can a person then think, well, I've got people have embraced, 2 million people have embraced Islam at this guy's hands. How does he enter paradise with a small gate? Therefore think, right? Allah Ta'ala has given you wisdom. Why is there this gate which the Prophet mentioned? That's one report. A second report. In Ahmad Sahih, Tabarani Sahih, the Prophet ﷺ said, the distance between the two panels of the gates of paradise is the distance of 40 years walking. If only I could describe the image of Qasim's face to the listeners. A picture says 1,000 words. But Qaasim truly showed the expression what I wanted to see. And Sikandar, mashallah, he's got the same expression, mashallah. The distance between the two panels of the gates of paradise is the distance of 40 years walking. So Brother Qaasim, I don't know how to explain this. Okay, let's go for it. Brother Qaasim, forget about sleep. Forget about rest. If you travel at 2 miles an hour, very steady pace, walking, in 24 hours in a day, how far have you traveled?
48 miles.
So obviously you got to excuse me with sleep and all that.
Yeah.
So you do 48 miles in a day.
Call it 50.
Okay, let's call it 50.
Yeah.
So 50 in a year, rounding it off, 50 times 50, 2,500 miles. Yes, rounding it off. 2,500 miles, times it by 40 years. 100,000 miles. Yeah? Around the earth, you're talking 25,000 miles. So basically, from one gate to another gate, to the other panel, is like going around the earth 4 times. So a person goes, well, hang on a minute, you've contradicted yourself. You said from Saudi Arabia to Syria. How many gates are there? See, people just go straight to Paradise. Well, hang on a minute. Let's discuss these gates. There's 8 gates. Can you think of a very famous hadith mentioning the 8 gates of Paradise, Brother Qaasim? I'll give you a clue. Something about wudu.
Alright, I was going to do the one with the 10 surah classes after the salah.
Oh, mashallah. Brother Qaasim, please share this with the brothers and sisters.
I'll start it off and I'm sure Brother Yousef will finish it for me, inshallah. But the conversation was between the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And the Prophet ﷺ asked Abu Bakr if he knows the way to enter Jannah through all 8 gates.
Through any of the gates.
To any of the gates, yeah. And the Prophet ﷺ told him that the first way was if somebody kills a family member or owes you blood money, and you forgive them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't take revenge, you don't take the blood money, and you forgive them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is very difficult. And then the second way is if somebody you know has a debt and you pay off the debt for them without them realizing, yeah, which again is very difficult to first find out and secondly do. And then the third is to recite Surah Ikhlas 10 times after the Fard Salah.
So I'm going to now say what Abu Bakr said, Brother Qaasim. Sorry to disturb. So Abu Bakr, he said to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, what if you can only do one of those 3?
Subhanallah.
What did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say?
So yes, one is enough.
One is enough. So even if you can't forgive the person who's killed you blood money, you can't pay off a hidden debt. If you recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 10 times after every Fard prayer, you can enter paradise through whichever gate you wish. Isn't that so easy? Where's the hadith reference, Brother Qaasim? It's in Abu Ya'la, right? And Ibn Kathir's tafsir, and it's a Hasan hadith. So think about that. So get that into your lives, dear brothers and sisters out there.
Brother Yousef, just to add to that, what else do you get for reciting Surah Ikhlas 10 times?
Brother Qaasim, Jazakallah khair. The hadith is in Darimi, is Hasan. Our beloved Messenger said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whoever recites Surah Ikhlas 10 times, he gets a palace in paradise. And then Umar radiallahu anhu said, what if you recite it 20 times, Ya Rasulullah? Because you get 2 palaces, Umar. He said, what if you recite it 30 times? You get 3 palaces. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah Ta'ala is more generous than your recital.
So Brother Yousef, if you just did that after the Fard Salah every day you would get 5 palaces in Jannah.
Yes, and you go to paradise through whichever gate you wish.
So you're better than the Koti in Pakistan.
I don't know about that. MashaAllah.
But how easy is that?
Allahu Akbar. But these palaces, like I said, don't think of Walt Disney, don't think of Princess Rapunzel. These palaces are something else. We're going to discuss this inshallah. So going back to the gates, Brother Qaasim. You sidetracked there, but the gates are mentioned. The hadith I was referring to in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever does a perfect wudu, then looks at the sky and says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, then all the 8 gates of paradise open for him. And he smiles at the sky. 8 gates are mentioned. So now this explains the 8 gates, but these 8 gates are all different. One gate is for the people who are fond of dhikr. One gate for those fond of salat, for jihad. And there's a VIP gate, which Brother Sikandar would mention, inshallah. So now, there's 40 years walking between these gates. Brother Qaasim, have you heard of the pearly gates?
I haven't.
The Christians, in their theology, they say St. Peter, or Cephas, who was a companion of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he's at the gates of paradise. And it goes, the gates of paradise are made from pearl. So now this was interesting. As far as I know, we don't know any text with regards to that. But why is it that when we think of a humble gate, we start thinking of worldly material? You start thinking, okay, it's going to be metal. It's going to be... There you again, look, you're imposing dunya into akhirat. Now these gates, what do we know about them, Brother Qaasim? If I said to you, Buckingham Palace, the gates are open, that means there's going to be security in there. And it's probably a visiting time. If I said to you, no, the gates are open, there's nobody in there, you're thinking, what a fool. He goes, anybody's going to walk and take out the treasures. The Quran says about the gates of paradise, they will remain open. Now, why is that fascinating? Because the Quran is indicating that if all the gates of paradise remain open, it's a place of peace. Darus Salam, hence the name given to paradise. It's the abode of peace. Meaning nobody, why? Because you're all living beautiful, exalted lives. Nobody's wanting to leave paradise. The gates will remain open. But when it talks about the hell, the Quran says it will remain shut and vaulted over. So note, the gates of paradise are something immense. Now, Brother Qaasim, the queues. Our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the poor will enter paradise 40 years before the rich. That's in Sahih Muslim. In Tirmidhi, Hasan Sahih, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the poor will enter paradise 500 years before the rich. So now, what does that mean? One of the meanings is the queues of paradise are that lengthy. It takes such a long time for people to enter. So even though you got this vastness with regards to the gates of paradise, there will still be unbelievable queues. The vastness of humanity and jinn, according to majority of scholars as well. So think about that. So now, if a person thinks, well, at least I'm in the queue, I'm alright. Well, think about this. When you go to the airport and you realize you're the last, are you happy? You're stressed out. You're thinking, oh, why didn't I come earlier? Oh my God. You see somebody swearing in front, thinking he's already made the guy upset. When I get there, he's probably closed the checkout on me. And then suddenly you see a guy, what happens? VIP, straight through. Everybody turns and stops breathing. You know, and they go, oh, look at that. Now this VIP gate, there's a VIP gate in paradise. Who is that reserved for? And the scholars say, this is something that we have to strive for. It's something we have to strive for. Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he asked in Bukhari and Muslim, Ya Rasulullah, will anybody be fortunate enough to go through any of these gates? And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yes, and I hope you will be one of them, O Abu Bakr radiyallahu. And he goes, the gates will be calling him, imagine. And that also indicates the gates of paradise are alive. They're conversing. Think about that. So you got gates, and people don't even talk about these gates. Brother, why are you talking about gates? Well, I've just been talking about it 20 minutes. I'm sure it's important for us to discuss the gates. So stay away, notice. Now, Brother Qaasim, this is really going to baffle you. Are those gates on earth or on paradise?
I have no idea.
Look how basic. So obviously on the day of judgment, the earth will become flat. People will be standing. Judgment will take place. You'll cross the bridge of Sirat. But where exactly are these gates? And that is exactly the correct answer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But it'd be hardly conceivable for it to be on the earth. Why? Because if you're entering paradise through earth, it doesn't really make sense. How do you enter paradise through the earth? So no, there's things about this which we shouldn't go into. But whatever the case, we make dua, and we strive that we enter through any of those blessed gates into the glorious abode, inshallah. And the other beautiful thing, Brother Qaasim, it's a one-off. Think about that, innit? Look how touching that is. You will not have the opportunity again. Once you're in paradise, you're not going to start saying, I wouldn't mind going through the gate of paradise again. That's it. It's a one-off. Now, Brother Qaasim, is there a very interesting hadith about a person who pauses at the gate of paradise?
There undoubtedly is.
Brother Qaasim, you know the responses just like the election. MashaAllah, those who want to become the Prime Minister. So, there's a hadith. And the report says that there'll be a man and he will be heading towards paradise. And as he gets to the entrance, he's not entered paradise. He starts looking like the Quran says, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. When you look again, you will see bliss and a kingdom magnificent. So he's looking. And imagine the shock he's in. The angels then prod him. And one of the angels says to him, dear servant of Allah, aren't you going to enter? You've been standing here 50,000 years. Dear servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, aren't you going to enter? You've been standing here 50,000 years. Brother Qaasim, I need you to explain that to me, please. So give me some sort of worldly comparison. I know you can't, but so we get some sort of idea what's happened here.
The only thing you can think is, you know, when you see something that just astonishes you and you're mesmerized, maybe for like a split second, but you've done that for 50,000 years.
What's the, and obviously we've got to keep it clean with the gospel, but what have you looked at that has memorized you for quite a bit of time?
When you first look at the Kaaba,
MashaAllah. Qaasim, you were next level, MashaAllah. So when a person looks at the holy Kaaba, obviously people say it's like a projection, it's like this and that. Alhamdulillah, there's no doubt about that. 50,000 years. So imagine, Brother Qaasim, a man has lived from the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's now, how old is he now? He's 1,500 years old, let's say. He's still got 48,500 years before he enters paradise. So let me ask you a question. If that servant is you, for instance, and let's say you lived 100 years, was your 100 years really worth paradise? Think about that. We get tired of worship. We think, I've done so much ibadah. Listen, you'll be standing at the gate of paradise for millennia. That's enough reward for you. Now, why are you so shocked? But don't forget, Brother Qaasim, the concept of time doesn't really apply in paradise. Why? Because if you're enjoying and you're in bliss, time flies. They even say that. Obviously, you can appreciate that somewhat on the earth. You watch a film that you enjoy, for instance, and you say, hey, is that the time? And that's just 3 hours. So obviously, we get about 50,000 years. One brother goes to me, Brother Yousef, you quoted drunk. I goes, I'm sorry, brother, it's 10,000 years. I goes, 50,000 years, 10,000 years, it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't really matter how, but the time, and this shows that really it is absolutely an unbelievable place. The angels, and when you enter, Brother Qaasim, before the break, what do the angels say to you before you enter? Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Enter in peace. Look at how we should yearn for this. And who's the gatekeeper of paradise? The Amir. His name is Ridwan alayhi salatu wasalam. He's an angel, and we want to see that blessed angel to give us the great glad tidings before we enter. And Imam Ahmad says, when your right foot enters paradise, then you know there's no more worries thereafter. So inshallah, hopefully this will be encouraging and making people yearn for that true abode. And I haven't even discussed paradise yet, Brother Qaasim.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair for that, Brother Yousef. And just to remind everybody that the WhatsApp number is 0788 559 786. Alhamdulillah, we do have a question, and inshallah we'll answer it after the news, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Equipping the generation towards a cohesive society. This is Iman FM.
مشاعر صادقة. إعداد وتقديم مريم صابونة. الإعداد إيمان 103.1 FM. كل يوم سبت من الساعة 1:30 وحتى 3 بعد الظهر. كونوا معنا.
In the city of Sheffield, if you ever have an accident, do not fear. Mr. Compensator is here. He can provide you with a taxi, prestige, or 4x4 replacement vehicle in just 2 hours. Call 0114-3863-386 or visit mrcompensator.co.uk and let the experts manage your claim.
जरा गड्डी रोको, ये क्या भीड़ भड़क नजर आ रहा है?
हवलदार साहब, ये सब जायका के लिए आए हैं।
वो जायका?
ये लोग जायका टेकअवे के जायकेदार खानों का जायका लेने आए हुए हैं। फिश मसाला नान, चिकन टिक्का नान, लैम्ब टिक्का नान, शीश टिक्का नान।
मैं सदके जाऊँ जायका कबाब्स एंड स्वीट्स पर।
जायका से ताजा मिठाइयाँ और कढ़ाई गोश्त भी मिलता है।
जायका कबाब एंड स्वीट्स 2 to 4 Chippingham Place, Sheffield. Telephone 0114-2425-800. Zaika also at 66 Wellgate, Rotherham. Telephone 01709-300-400.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Khalil Muhammad coming to you with an urgent appeal. One Community has established the first Islamic Education, Deaf and Special Educational Needs Center where deaf Muslims and non-Muslims can attend Islamic classes to learn more about Islam using sign language.
However, this center is under serious threat and we need your Qarz-e Hasna, a beautiful loan, and your zakat to help us keep it open. Please visit our website islamfordeaf.co.uk, that's Islam, FORDEAF.co.uk, or give us a call on 0121 291 7847.
क्या आप रेडियो प्रेजेंटर बनना चाहते हैं या मीडिया इंडस्ट्री ज्वाइन करना चाहते हैं? अपनी आवाज के जरिए अपनी कम्युनिटी की खिदमत करने का सुनहरी मौका ईमान FM पर। आइए हम आपको बनाएंगे रेडियो प्रेजेंटर। स्टूडियो ट्रेनिंग से लाइव प्रोग्रामिंग तक की तरबियत हासिल करने के लिए राब्ता करें 0114242051 या ईमेल कीजिए info@imanfm.com.
Equity Law Chambers Solicitors. When your rights are at stake, you need experienced defense lawyers. The law firm of Equity Law. Our experienced team of professionals can assist you in all matters, including family law, immigration, criminal law, drug offences, road traffic cases, fraud and money laundering. Call us today for expert advice on 01709 36 86 03 or visit us at elc-solicitors.co.uk. Equity Law Chamber Solicitors, advocating your rights.
Had an accident, not your fault. Car and Solicitors, a team of professionals dedicated to winning you 100% compensation with free advice and assistance. Over 15 years of experience assisting you with road traffic accidents, trips, slips, employer's liability. We can recover your uninsured losses, i.e. vehicle damage, recovery, storage and loss of earnings. Car and Solicitors, 351 Abbeydale Road, Sheffield. Come see us or call 0114 258 3399 or visit carandsolicitors.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Locally at 103.1 on FM. Globally at imanfm.com on the internet. This is Iman FM.
You're listening to Iman FM. Time for the news.
From the Sky News Centre at 11, a man has been arrested near the Houses of Parliament on suspicion of terror offences. The 27-year-old was carrying several knives in a rucksack. No one was hurt. Counter-terrorism expert Chip Chapman says the armed officers who detained the suspect were exemplary.
Separated him, the weapons from him, and therefore taking him down and sort of walking him to the police van is a very understated British way of doing things in a calm fashion, and I think the police should be applauded for their actions.
United Airlines says it's reached a financial settlement with the passenger dragged off one of its planes. Pictures of Dr. David Dow being manhandled on a flight from Chicago earlier this month sparked international outrage. The amount of the payout hasn't been revealed. The Prime Minister has described a suggestion from Boris Johnson about military action in Syria as hypothetical. The Foreign Secretary claimed it would be difficult to refuse the US if it asked for support in any further airstrikes. A Royal Marine who shot dead an injured Taliban fighter in Afghanistan is due out of prison in the coming hours. Alexander Blackman had his sentence cut last month when his murder conviction was reduced to manslaughter. In sport, Manchester United remain a point behind fourth-place Manchester City after a goalless Premier League draw at their rivals. The visitors made little effort to attack throughout the game. They were forced to hang on towards the end after Marouane Fellaini was sent off. United manager Jose Mourinho says he'll take the draw.
We had a very good control of the game in the first half. The second half was more difficult. In the end, with one player less, even worse. So then we had to make the right decision to fight hard to have a point.
And Ronan Keating says he's bursting with love after welcoming his first child with his wife, Storm. He's put a photo of their newborn son on Instagram. That's the latest. I'm Kiran Kaur.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Pearls of Wisdom show, going through the core topics of Islam. Alhamdulillah, we had a question, so I just want to do that first. So, Brother Yousef, the question is, can you just repeat the virtues of reciting Surah Ikhlas 10 times in Salah?
Okay, mashallah. So the question, I think the listener may have slightly misheard. It's not in Salah. The report mentions whoever recites Surah Ikhlas, i.e. Qul Huwallahu Ahad, the surah 10 times after the obligatory prayer. So after you've given the taslim, the salam, you say it 10 times. Then the hadith mentions you will go to paradise through whichever gate you wish. This is an authentic report. And also another report mentions that if you recite it 10 times anytime, you will get a palace in paradise, inshallah. But no, look how beautiful. Surah Ikhlas takes you to the gates of paradise, and then it's building your paradise as well. Allahu Akbar. Brother Qaasim?
Jazakallah, Brother Yousef. Bismillah.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala rasulil kareem. Amma ba'd. So now we can discuss what actually is waiting for us for eternity, i.e. in the blessed abode. So the first report, the hadith is recorded by Hafiz Munziri rahmatullah alayh in his Targhib. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu, he said, its land is made of silver and it is intensely white like a mirror. Allahu Akbar. Its land is made of silver, intensely white like a mirror. So again, like I mentioned, keep in mind what Ibn Abbas said. Nothing in paradise resembles anything of this world except in name. But you have to try and strive to try and comprehend this. So here the great Ibn Abbas is now saying, radiyallahu anhu, the land is made of silver. So obviously we all know what silver is. It's a precious metal, gold and silver. You know how often have people, fought and killed over these precious elements. So silver, the land of paradise is made of silver. Allahu Akbar. But then he added, it is so intensely white, it is like a mirror. Allahu Akbar. So again, you walk through the blessed gates. When you're looking at the blessed ground of paradise, the land of paradise, it would hardly be an exaggeration to say you will see the reflection of yourself. Because the land is made of such pure silver, so intensely bright, it resembles a mirror. Think about that. So Allahu Akbar, this is just the mere land of paradise which Ibn Abbas is mentioning. Adding details, in a hadith in Bayhaqi, Bazar, and Abu Nu'aym, our beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, its earth is made of musk, and its soil is made of saffron. Allahu Akbar. Its earth is made of musk and its soil is made of saffron. So now look how interesting. Two other elements are now mentioned by our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These two elements on the earth are used for beauty. Musk and saffron are perfumes. Musk is our beloved Messenger said, it's the best of perfumes, and saffron is such a precious commodity, worth its weight in gold, as they say. So both of these things, which are used for beauty, for perfume, for scent on the earth, is now used in paradise for the earth and its soil. Allahu Akbar. Now think about this. The earth is made of musk. So Hafiz ibn Kathir said, imagine what will grow out of this earth. For instance, whatever fruit, veg we get from the earth of this world, some of which is truly mouth-watering. You're thinking, subhanallah, it's like it's from paradise itself, we say, metaphorically. And that's the constituent from the earth. What if it's not this lowly earth that's nourishing the roots of these plants, but it's actually musk. Think about that. Allahu Akbar. Musk is feeding these plants what now would be given in terms of fruit and vegetables. So this is what Ibn Kathir was highlighting. And its soil is saffron. Imagine the soil. You know, when you're going and you see the, you know, a gardener and the soil on top of the you know, the earth, as they say, that is saffron. So try and picture this. The land is pure silver, intensely white like a mirror. The earth is musk and the soil is saffron. Allahu Akbar. Then, again, looking at the ground itself, our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the hadith is in Tirmidhi and Imam Ahmad's Musnad. Its gravel is pearls and rubies. Allahu Akbar. Its gravel is pearls and rubies. So again, each description that we are getting is making it more difficult even for our mind's eye to register. So now it's talking about gravel. So what's gravel? You know, like the only time we use that word probably is when you're talking about football. The gravel, you know, the flakes, the little stones on top of the soil itself. The gravel of paradise, the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is rubies and pearls. Think about that. Red rubies, green emeralds, you know, sapphire, diamonds, rubies. Allahu Akbar. Something absolutely incredible. Why? Because diamonds are so precious. People have, you know, they say there's the curse of Koh-i-Noor. Koh-i-Noor. I'm not talking about the restaurant. I'm talking about that huge diamond that they took from India, the British Empire, which is now on the crown of the monarch. But that ruby is called Koh-i-Noor. Why? Because it's such a priceless diamond. Now imagine if that was scattered all over the earth. Pearls, rubies, diamonds, emeralds, and this is the gravel of paradise. So Allahu Akbar, you know, if you really reflect upon what's being mentioned by our beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his noble students, it is truly mind-boggling. And I'm only actually discussing so far just the gates of paradise and the earth or the soil or the gravel of paradise. Imagine. And look at the detail given by our beloved Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who spoke only but the truth. Soil is like fine white powder of pure musk. So again, let's try to picture this to the best of our ability in our mind's eye. Its soil is like fine white powder of pure musk. So again, you know, you have to pardon the expressions, but how can we make an analogy of this? And the best way I suppose you can think of is when you get such fine powder, for example, the fine talcum powder you get, so fine, and it's easily blown even with a slight, you know, draft of wind. But it's not talcum powder. It's fine, pure musk. And this is what's on the surface, the soil. He goes, it's like fine white powder of pure musk. Now what's amazing about this? There will be a wind in paradise which will cause this fine white powder of pure musk to blow. In Sahih Muslim, our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a wind will come from the north and blow on their faces and clothes. They will thus increase in beauty. Allahu Akbar. So let's say that blessed hadith again in Sahih Muslim. Our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a wind will come from the north and blow on their faces and clothes. They will thus increase in beauty. So here it clearly mentions there will be a breeze or a wind from the north. So now when you think of the north wind in the part of the world we're in, it's the Arctic wind. We think of that as freezing, cold, barren. But it's very important to look at the commentary of this hadith. Imam Nawawi, rahmatullah alayh, in his Sharh Sahih Muslim 17-170, he explained, the Arabs look forward to the north wind for it blows the dust of paradise on their faces. So let's look at this. So Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayhi, he said the Arabs look forward to the north wind. It is literally the carrier. Now what does that mean? It means it heralds rain, it heralds, prosperity, i.e. the climate will cause the barren earth to grow. So it's the Arabian Peninsula what's been referred to. The north wind was always a pleasant and noble thing for them. And it literally means the carrier. And then it says, therefore in the hadith, when the Prophet ﷺ says, it will blow the dust of paradise on their faces. So meaning this fine white powder of pure musk will blow on their faces, and the hadith says it will increase their beauty. So just like you get a person now, for example, when he's freshening up using the various spices, powders, attar, it's being automatically done in the glorious abode. So note, everything is serving a purpose. It's there for beauty first and foremost, but it's just for the sake of the pleasure of the sons and daughters of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. And this is again just talking about the mere soil, gravel, the earth of paradise. So note, even if you talk about the most simplest things in paradise, it's very difficult to comprehend. However, our beloved messenger mentioned them, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and thus we should strive to try to comprehend them somewhat or to the best of our ability. And then you go, of course, the plants. So obviously, there's reports. For instance, the hadith is in Tabarani, and it's sahih to the criteria of Bukhari and Muslim. Our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the best of the aromatic plants of paradise is henna. Subhanallah. The best of the aromatic plants of paradise is henna or henna. So now obviously on the earth, henna is a very pleasant plant, but it's used for dye. So for example, our beloved messenger would use it, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, on his feet. And what's very interesting that they've discovered is antifungal. So note, our beloved messenger being the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was doing things well ahead of the time. So how did he know that this gets rid of ailments of the feet? So it's used as a dye, and obviously the females use it for beautification. People use it to dye their hair, etc., etc. However, in paradise, our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the very best of the aromatic plants of paradise is henna. Meaning that even the plants that you think are not maybe so high in your status on the earth, something happens to them in paradise. And it says aromatic, meaning it'll have the most intense scent. When you go near a rose, for instance, a rose garden, you feel the pleasant smell. And what's interesting, whichever rose you smell or plant is always pleasant. That's fascinating. You never go to a plant, it stinks. You always think, so what is that? And what's amazing is it grows in dung. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching you something there, saying, look, from the most lowliest things, I'm giving you scent. Where is that scent coming from? And one of the reports from our beloved messenger mentions that you should partake of scent because it reminds you of paradise. And it's true. Whenever you put an attar on, it uplifts you. And also, Brother Ibs, mashallah, you were well aware, there's a science called aromatherapy. And what does that entail? Is it just basically, it's a science to, I don't know much about it, but I believe it helps in terms of people suffering from anxiety, depression, and mental disorders. It helps them, but
for understanding, using the oils from the plants,
right?
And they use that. You can put it in water, and you use it in baths, or put it on your skin, and these kind of things, or sort of like oils, like massage oils, that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
put it into your skin. It goes into your skin and heals you.
MashaAllah, subhanallah. So note, there's things that on the earth we can understand from what they've learnt. But in paradise, and the other thing which is amazing about paradise, and this is something that you have to, pardon us, we really can't understand. But the hadith in Sahih Bukhari mentions, the Prophet ﷺ said, the fragrance of paradise can be smelled from a distance of 40 years traveling. SubhanAllah. The fragrance of paradise can be smelled from a distance of 40 years traveling. So like I mentioned, 40 years again, what does that mean? And what does that mean? Because if somebody says to you, this person's got a very strong athar, even if you can smell him from a short distance, you would think that is a very strong athar. But for the person to say, well, you can travel 40 years and you'll still be able to smell the initial scent of this place, then what about the one who actually enters? What is the overpowering smell or scent he would receive there? So no, it truly is beyond comprehension. In one report, our beloved messenger mentioned Sahih Hadith in Nasa'i, 500 years. He says the smell or the scent of paradise can be smelled or smelled from 500 years traveling. So where is that scent coming from? So the details we are given is coming from the soil of paradise. It's coming from the soil, the earth of paradise. It's coming from the plants, and it's coming from so many different aspects. But this is one aspect that people hardly reflect upon. That one of the most amazing blessings of paradise is the scent. You'll be so overpowered with the smell. Just like A'udhu Billah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve us, the hellfire. One of the punishments of the hellfire is the severe torment of the horrific stench. It's absolutely, and what's interesting, you put a person and he puts his head into a sewer, he vomits. That's just the normal reaction. So what about a person who has to suffer the torment of the fire? Horrific stench. And look at the contrast. Allah Ta'ala has given you one extreme because He's created you. He knows what will give you the utmost pleasure, and He knows how to punish you. And there's a punishment which A'udhu Billah is waiting for those sad and unfortunate souls. So note, the plants of paradise are also mentioned. And what's interesting, in the Quran, in Surah 56, verse 89, Allah the Almighty and Glorious mentions the plants. He says, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, فَرَوْحٌ وَرَيْحَانٌ وَجَنَّةٌ نَعِيمٌ. For them, intense scent and sweet smelling plants in the garden of bliss. Allahu Akbar. For them, intense scents and sweet smelling plants in the garden of bliss. Now look at the wording here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says intense scents, and He mentions plants, warayhan. Then He says in the garden of bliss. When you think of a garden, you automatically think of, the greenery and the plants, and this is something amazing. The other thing which is fascinating about our true abode is that the word Jannah, and I mentioned this many times, I don't think I've mentioned it on the air, so I'll mention it. The word Jannah is often translated as garden. And you're right, it is a garden. But if you look at the root word, the etymology of that blessed word, it's taken from something hidden. So for example, if you look at the root words, the root letters, it's J and Nun, or Jim and Nun. And any word in Arabic that has those two letters in that sequence always talks about something hidden.
Yeah.
Like jinn. Yeah, for example. So jinn, the unseen creations that we can't see with the naked eye. Then you've got Junnah. Junnah is a shield that a warrior covers himself with. Then you've got Janeen. Janeen is the embryo which can't be seen of the female unless you've got the most powerful telescope or microscope, sorry. And then you've got Jannah. So the person goes Jannah. Jannah means an intense greenery which you cannot penetrate with your eyesight. Meaning it's so well irrigated that you can't see through the greenery.
Like very dense.
That's right. So that is what the actual word Jannah means. It doesn't mean garden. It means such an intensely irrigated greenery that you have to actually penetrate it to see what actually is within it. And look how beautiful that description is, Jannah. So note that even the word sometimes we lose so much in the English language, but that's why that is the name given to paradise itself. It actually means the well irrigated. And also in the Quran, Allah the Almighty and Glorious, He mentions in Surah Ar-Rahman, and this is the shortest verse of the Quran. It's actually one word. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, Mudhammatan, meaning, and look at the English, you're going to probably think, all that from that one word. And this is what it translates into. Dark green, bordering black, due to the intense irrigation. So I'll say that again. Dark green, bordering black, due to the intense irrigation. So if you keep, for example, the only thing you can think of on the earth is the rainforests. You're getting the rain coming all the time, and you get such beautiful, different shades of plants and this, that, and the other, because it's constantly being watered by the rain. But paradise is the next level. It goes, it's so dark, you would think it's black, but it's actually dark green. And that's why the Quran says, Mudhammatan. It's such an awesome blessing. So when you're thinking of the greenery, really you should highlight, the actual fact. And also what's fascinating, when you think of black, you think of negative. You think, dark, but there you go, you shouldn't impose dunya into paradise. Another example of imposing dunya into paradise. There's 4 beverages in paradise that we know of. You've got the milk, you've got the wine, you've got the milk, the wine, the honey, and you've got the water. So these are rivers mentioned in the Quran of paradise. Now, out of those 4, if they were placed on the earth, you would think, let's leave water to the end. Water is the bland drink. Yet, in Kanzul Umal, Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi said, water is the Sayyid, is the greatest drink in paradise. As Brother Ibs takes a swig of that blessed water, mashallah. So water is the chief drink. So how on earth can waters excel wine? Water excel honey. But that's what Jannah is. It's not something for you to work out. And Brother Qaasim is having a good munch, alhamdulillah. Mashallah. So, and inshallah, mashallah. So the fragrance and sorry, Brother Ibs, you're going to say something.
The fragrance part, yes. So let's, would there be any smell, any fragrance emanating from people of paradise?
Subhanallah. The report mentions from Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu in Ibn Hibban. He said that if the people of paradise were going to trade in anything, they trade in perfumes. Actually a hadith. So meaning there's perfume in paradise. So what, for the life of me, I don't understand, why do you need perfume? You're bombarded from every direction with beautiful scent and beautiful, the beautiful sense of paradise, and yet you still got perfume. And there's so much of it. Abu Bakr goes, he goes, if you were to do business, you do it with this. One report says the clothing as well also gives you the scent of paradise. So again, it's just obviously it's the abode of peace. It's the abode of rest. That's the place where we can relax. But when you're talking about paradise, you notice a yearning starts being, coming from the heart. And why? Because this is our home. We were taken out of paradise. We're on earth where we have to do everything. Basically, blood, sweat and tears. But once you're there, you will only then appreciate what you've got and what was lost before our father came out, alayhi salatu wasalam. But note again, the detail is unbelievable. Then you've got the trees. Now, the trees, there's so many famous reports. In Bukhari and Muslim, our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there is a tree in paradise in whose shadow the fastest and swiftest horseman will ride for 100 years without being able to leave it behind. Subhanallah. There is a tree in paradise in whose shadow the fastest and swiftest horseman will ride for 100 years without being able to leave it behind. Now what does that mean? It means that tree is bigger than the entire world. Why? Because if the shadow of the tree, 100 years, a horseman going flat out, he will not be able to, he'll clog the earth. So one tree is greater than the earth. Think about that. Recorded in Bukhari and Muslim. Which tree is greater? People say Avatar, I never even watched the film. Right? And they go, there's this tree, Yousef. And I go, what about the tree? But think about Jannah, innit?
There you go. We don't need Avatar, do we? So, coming up to the commercial break now. We will see you on the other side of this. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Online at www.imanfm.com and on our app, you're listening to Iman FM.
ईमान रेडियो 103.1 FM के सुनने वालों की खिदमत में परवेज यूसुफ का मोदबाना सलाम। मैं आपके लिए एक खूबसूरत प्रोग्राम ला रहा हूँ, चमनज़ारे गज़ल, एक यादगार प्रोग्राम सुनना ना भूलिएगा 103.1 ईमान FM।
Khan Solicitors, experienced criminal defence lawyers in defending your rights. We can assist you get the best possible outcome if you're involved in any criminal matters, including murder, drug offences, sexual offences including grooming, terrorism, fraud and money laundering. We can provide free advice and assistance 24/7 at the police station. Call us on 0114 258 3399 at 351 Abbeydale Road, Sheffield. Visit us at khansolicitors.com. Over 20 years experience in defending your rights.
क्या आप बच्चों की शादी के सिलसिले में परेशान हैं? क्या आप बर्तानिया में ही बच्चों की शादी करना चाहते हैं? क्या आप एक अच्छे रिश्ते की तलाश में हैं? अगर इन सवालों का जवाब हाँ में है तो आपका मसला हल हो गया। बर्तानिया में रिहाइश पजीर आला तालीम याफ्ता किसी भी बरादरी के अच्छे रिश्तों के लिए आप राब्ता मैरिज हेल्पलाइन से इस टेलीफोन नंबर पर राब्ता कायम करें 0114-2425-400। राब्ता मैरिज हेल्पलाइन मुसलमान खानदानों को करीब लाने का राब्ता।
Coversure Insurance Rotherham are your friendly local brokers who can insure all your needs, whether it is for your own car, home or property you let. We also have specialist insurers for your shop, restaurants and takeaways. We can cover all aspects of the motor trade and we have some excellent rates for taxis, minibuses and commercial vehicles, including fleet policies. All written quotes can be beaten. Please call us today on 01709 556 230. We are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Sheffield's finest buffet restaurant, Mirpuri Dera, reviving the taste of Asian subcontinent. Extensive buffet with more than 40 dishes.
नई इंतजामिया, नया साफ सुथरा माहौल, मुनफरिद खाने, 40 से ज़ायद डिशेस, पार्टी ऑर्गेनाइजर, मशरकी रवायात का अलंबरदार, हलाल फूड.
Mirpuri Dera, Stanifeth Road, Darnell, 0114-244-9199, under new management.
जेड़ा भी पाए एक बारी फेरा, वो आवे बार-बार मीरपुरी डेरा.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। हम आपके शुक्रगुजार हैं कि आपने अल हबीब वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के साथ भरपूर तावन किया। आपके ज़कात, सदक़ात, फिदिया और सदक़ातुल फ़ितर बगैर किसी कमी के हम इंतहाई गरीब पसमानदा इलाकों के यतीमों, बेवाओं, माज़ूरों और ज़रूरतमंदों तक पहुँचाते हैं। अल्लाह ताला आपके तावन को कबूलियत का आला दर्जा अता फरमाए।
For more information, please contact Maulana Aslam Zaid on 0789 454 0303 alhabibwelfarefoundation.co.uk.
In a world where accident claims are poorly managed and the referral fees paid are so low, and just when all hope is lost in the city of Sheffield, a hero emerges. A hero so powerful, one phone number is all you need. A hero named Mr. Compensator. For your referral fee of £2,000, call Mr. Compensator now on 0114 3863 386. Terms and conditions apply.
Online at www.imanfm.com and on our app, you're listening to Iman FM.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the Pearls of Wisdom show on Iman FM 103.1. Studio hotline is 0114 2425 200, or you can WhatsApp on 0788 5599786. Bit quiet tonight, isn't it, with the calls? I don't know why people...
Waj isn't here, that's
Waj isn't here, yeah, but people must be interested in paradise. Must be wanting to go there, know a bit more about it. But if you're a bit shy tonight, no problem. Yousef will answer your questions, inshallah, if you phone in.
Inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala rasulil kareem. Amma ba'd. So, the last thing I mentioned before the break was this tree in paradise. So now this is important because this is a very famous report, but it's something to reflect upon. The hadith mentions the tree a horseman rides for 100 years. He won't be able to get out of the shadow. So now we've got Brother Qaasim, the expert resident mathematician. So, Brother Qaasim, is it possible to put this tree on the earth?
I'd say no.
No, because if you've got 100 years fast, swift rider on horseback, he's going to start going around the earth, clocking the earth.
Yeah.
So what is this hadith actually telling you then? Well, how vast is paradise? Think about that. How vast is paradise? And what is that tree? And the other thing which is important, the Prophet used a very specific term about the horse. And this horse is basically trained to ride. It's trained for jihad. And that was the term he used, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So it's not just a normal horse, like a trotter. It's a swift, well-trained horse, and even at that top speed for 100 years, it will not be able to leave the shade of this tree. So this is one tree of paradise. So can we really understand even a humble tree of paradise? And then questions. Okay, describe this tree. You've given us the dimensions. But what else do we know about this tree? So there's a report. The hadith is in Tirmidhi and Mishkat. Our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there is no tree in paradise whose trunk is not made of gold. There is no tree of paradise whose trunk is not made of gold. So now a person goes, okay, so this trunk of this tree isn't like we get on the earth, because the shadow of which, so the trunk literally means a kind of a wall in worldly terms, from one part of the world to the other. That's the trunk of the tree. And I'll just obviously by way of example. Now, if that is the length of the trunk and it's made of solid gold, what's that worth? And the hadith says, there is no tree, meaning no exception, in paradise whose trunk is not made of gold. And that's why, what's fascinating, gold makes a person's eye, you noticed, obviously with the female folk, the bangles and, the rest of it, but to some extent the men as well. But gold is a kind of a status with regards to, you've made it. The Prophet ﷺ actually said in Nasa'i, Sahih Hadith, the status that people will always turn to, though it is wrong, is wealth. To the nearest meaning. And it's true, you can't help it. The person asks you, brother, what do you do for a living? What's he really asking you, Brother Qaasim? He wants to know what bracket you're in. Now think about that, so what? Once you're in paradise, imagine looking back, you're in paradise, what do you think? Look at that tree, brother. Right, could anybody on the earth with all their occupations afford this one tree of paradise? So therefore, this tree is truly, absolutely beyond comprehension. What's one of the strangest creations, in terms of, flight? Burak, obviously you've gone straight to the Burak. On the earth. In terms of the way it comes into existence and how subtle it is. The bumblebee.
the butterfly.
Yes. You go straight for the string, Brother Qaasim. Right? But the butterfly, so it comes from a caterpillar. It's amazing. It goes into a cocoon, and then they come out with their, the answer when they don't know the answer. Mother Nature takes its course. So Mother Nature takes its course, and you get this beautiful butterfly. Butterflies are usually predominantly found where there's greenery. Now look what this hadith, this is fascinating. The Prophet ﷺ said in Tirmidhi and Mishkat, there are butterflies of gold around the trees of paradise. There are butterflies of gold around the trees of paradise. I don't know, I'm not well traversed, but have you ever seen a gold butterfly? I've seen different colors. I've never seen a gold butterfly. And then the question to pose, which is a good question, does that mean literally made of gold? It's paradise. You shouldn't start thinking, well, it has to be a gold color. The hadith literally says there are butterflies of gold therein. Now, what do you notice? Even though you can't really picture it, it just brings a smile to your lips. You notice, you're thinking, what an amazing place. Now, why was the Prophet talking about it at such length? Because he wanted to tell you, because he was there. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's not like me and you, we hear the text. He was there, and he's telling you, look, I saw this, I saw that, and they absolutely believed it. And we absolutely believe whatever he says through authentic transmissions. So there's butterflies of gold, and even in Sidratul Muntaha, when the Prophet went on the miraculous night journey, which Brother Qaasim mentioned in the first section, he saw gold butterflies. The hadith mentions it in Sahih Muslim, because there was gold butterflies around the Sidratul Muntaha, the abode where nobody can pass except the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So no butterflies, and it's also a very delicate creation. You noticed, nobody feels any fear from butterflies. It's just a beautiful creation. In fact, they love them to sit, right? And then you think, well, what are these butterflies doing on the earth? And you notice it's just for the sake of beauty, just to bring pleasantness. And people who go, what's interesting, when they're a bit stressed out with their worldly grime, they always go to where there's nature. And one of the things that always brings a smile to their lips is when they see these creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially the butterflies. Brother Qaasim, when you were young, used to pluck the wings off and eat them. Astaghfirullah. Also, there's another report in Imam Ahmad in his Musnad and his Hassan in As-Sahiha number 1985. Our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Tuba is a tree of paradise as huge as 100 years' journey. The clothes of the people of paradise come from its calices, i.e. the outer part of its flowers. Have I pronounced it right? Calices, right? C-A-L-C-Y-E-S. I'm not very good at English, so Brother Qaasim, is that correct?
We've got a resident expert in English here.
Okay. So anyway, you know, the outer part of the flower. So in this authentic hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, the clothes of the people of paradise comes from the outer part of its flowers. Now what's interesting, if you actually look at a rose, for instance, and you feel the texture, it actually feels like a material. So obviously I'm trying to compare it with paradise, you can't do that, but you're going to have to use some sort of reasoning. So, and obviously it's impossible to make a garment out of it, it's too fine, it's too subtle. But you got the point. In paradise, tuba, from the outer flowers, your clothes are given. Think about that, your clothes. And now, Brother Qaasim, do you need to go to a tailor, Brother Qaasim, to make these suits?
Ready-made, aren't they? Just off the rack.
There you go. In fact, one report says the flower comes near you and you look and it's already tailor-made on you. Think about that. And this is tuba. Now what's interesting about the word tuba, Brother Ibs, there's very famous hadith about this word, which people translate into glad tidings for some reason.
Stranger.
I'll mention it. MashaAllah. The man of paradise has entered as well, MashaAllah. In Sahih Muslim, our beloved messenger, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Islam started as something strange. It will end up as something strange. Therefore, tuba for the ghuraba, tuba for the strangers. Now this word tuba, it literally translates, it could literally translate as glad tidings. So they haven't translated it incorrectly. However, the problem with that is you bypassed a statement of the Prophet. The Prophet said, tuba is a tree of paradise, the distance of 100 years. So now someone goes, okay, so I get a tree of paradise if I'm a stranger at the end of time. Yes. So what does it mean being strange? It means you are following the commands. But the Prophet ﷺ was comforting you because there won't be many people really truly following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you literally, in inverted commas, become a stranger. So the Prophet himself is comforting you. He goes, tuba. Now look how beautiful that is. He's telling you about a tree. Tuba for the strangers. In another hadith, very famous, the Prophet ﷺ said, tuba for those who believed and saw me. But tuba 3 times or 7 times for those who believe and didn't see me. That's us. So we've been given someone above the Sahaba to some extent as well here at the Allah. Now what's this? No, again, tuba. So this is an absolutely incredible tree of paradise, which the Prophet was referring to, which gives you the clothing of paradise. Now think about this. There won't be enough wardrobes for your clothing. One brother jokingly said when I discussed the palaces of paradise, and he said it by way of joke, but afterwards I thought he's absolutely right. He goes, there won't be any need for repairs in paradise. And he was saying it by way of joke, but then afterwards I thought, many a true word is spoken in jest. There's no need for repairs. So imagine you've got a palace, and these palaces, I'll just mention one thing about them now. The palace on the earth, which blows you away, is basically something that goes up of maybe a quarter of a mile. I don't even know what the height is. And you think, look at that, the Buruj Tower, this, that, and the other. In paradise, one palace goes up 30 miles. And it's 30 miles wide. So imagine, you enter paradise, you enter your palace, Brother Qaasim, in Sheffield, and you come out in Leeds. Imagine you think, hang on a minute, what am I doing in Leeds? That's one palace. And how did you get that palace, Brother Qaasim? 10 Surah Al-Ikhlas. Now this palace is made of gold, is made of silver, and within it there's chambers of rubies and this, that, and the other. Whatever the case, it's beyond comprehension. Yeah. So when you're on the earth, you should not, if you really reflect upon paradise, you realize how insignificant the world is. This is why the Prophet ﷺ kept saying again and again, for instance in Sahih Muslim, the example of the hereafter as compared to the world is like when one of you dips his finger in the sea. He goes, how much comes out? He goes, that is the dunya, the akhirat is the river or the sea. Now you can only appreciate that when you understand what the akhirat is. And of course paradise is part of the akhirat. But looking back, imagine, and this always happens. I think Brother Ib's been recently to the Holy Land, mashallah. But when you go back home, maybe it's changed now, right? Maybe it's changed. But when I went back to Pakistan, it's quite spacious. You got these, huge open, dwellings and this. When I came back for a few days, the houses here, they felt like claustrophobic. Yeah, very claustrophobic. Yeah. Did you experience that? Yeah. So now let me ask you a question. That wasn't paradise. And you would say far from it, right? Right? But the fact that you was accustomed just to some open spaces, now you're thinking, what is this? Your mind, because you have to adjust to it. What would have happened if a mere mortal, not a prophet, came out of paradise? He would literally not be able to function. Therefore, it had to be a prophet. And of course, his mate, Hawa, radiyallahu. Think about that. People say, why? Because normal humans, they need another holiday after the holiday. You see, I've got to go on holiday again. Why? I can't be, you just come back. Because he's messed up. He's thinking, I can't, these trees making me depressed. What would happen to a person if he came out of paradise? He'd lose functioning. In fact, Adam alayhi salatu wasalam mentioned in the fruits, in Imam Ahmad's Musnad, when he was passing away, he goes, I yearn for the fruits of paradise 1,000 years after he was taken out. Now fruits, I don't care how great a fruit I've had, I'm not going to say to you, Brother Ibn, Brother Qaasim, Brother Wajh, Sikandar, I'm yearning for that banana I had 10 years ago. It's gone, it's out of my memory. Maybe after a few weeks, that's it. 1,000 years on his deathbed, he goes, I'm yearning for the fruits. Meaning, I now know what the earth is. But the other thing about Adam alayhi salatu wasalam was he must have realized, I brought my children onto the earth. Imagine it. And the amazing thing is, people are lost on the earth. Just imagine our beautiful father Adam alayhi salatu wasalam thinking, I can't wait to get out. No matter where you went, apart from obviously the holy places, there's no doubt. But even thinking, forget this. Ya Allah, I'm ready to go anytime. We get lost here in the waiting room. Imagine it. And that's why the scholars say a lot of us have become institutionalized. We're in prison. We don't know anything but prison. And the problem is you're not talking about paradise. You can't go to paradise. So if you can't go to paradise, you have to discuss it. And therefore our beloved messenger, the mercy to the universe, discussed it at great length. And notice he's giving you glimpses and scenes as you enter. Look at the floor. Look at the flowers, look at the scent, look at the trees. Why? Because you want to get those snapshots. But everything he's telling you is like, I need all day to understand this. And before you can explain it, the scholars move on to something else. I didn't understand the tree. And therefore, really, you have to truly reflect upon it. But the one thing is for certain, is waiting for this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and look at the interesting wording he uses, no more a distant thing. Now why does he say that? Because on the earth, Shaitan will say, pie in the sky, what paradise. This is just a con of the ancients. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you actually see paradise, he goes, no more a distant thing. Meaning you're almost at journey's end. You're almost there. But we have to get there. And that's why this holy, beautiful month of Ramadan is coming. And what did the Prophet ﷺ say? Roll your sleeves up. Paradise doesn't come cheap. Meaning, realize that, you want to get through the ranks. What's amazing is people are happy for the lowest ranks. And there's nothing wrong with that. Somebody goes to paradise, he's not going to be upset. But the Prophet encouraged you, because go up the ranks. Don't just settle for the lowest. Even though that's to the person, he'll be the greatest. Imagine he's in paradise. There's a hadith in Tirmidhi where the Prophet ﷺ said, the lowest ranked person in paradise, his kingdom will go on for 2,000 years. And then I'm thinking again, here we go again. Years. Not months. Not weeks. Years. 2,000 what? A person walks, bird flies, horse gallops. It doesn't matter. 2,000. What does that mean? Somebody goes, I've got some land back home, Brother Qaasim. I've got some land back home, Brother Qaasim. And he goes, yeah, what have you got? 2,000 years. So obviously it doesn't make sense, Ibs. And Ibs, you know about land, mashallah.
Yes, just on this point, Yousef, about the person who is in not the lowest level of paradise, if you can put it. Will he be aware of what is above him?
That's a good question. So first of all, to all the females out there, the lowest ranked person is a male, so they can celebrate. Is it, mashallah? Okay, you want to go? Sorry, this is...
Mashallah, we've got Brother Ali.
Assalamu alaikum. Is that Ali from Darnell? Yeah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ali. What can we do for you tonight?
Hang on, Ali, we can't hear you, so just there's technical hitch. Sheikh Waji is coming to the rescue.
State-of-the-art equipment here, but unfortunately the people are a bit...
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Where are you?
Ali, I think you're in the barzakh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, Brother Ali. If you can phone back, I suppose that's probably a better thing.
Have you cut him off by mistake?
Yeah. It might be cut off.
Right, try and ring back, inshallah. Right, in the meantime, the last question. Will the lowest person... the person at the lowest level of paradise, I read it wrong there, be aware of what is happening above him, or...
Mashallah, that's a very good question. The first thing to point out is he will be aware. However, Allah Ta'ala will not take away his happiness. So how does that work? And the response is, if you're happy with your lot, and you got the character of the prophets, there's no envy. You understand? You wish well. You understand? For example, what's the way to look at it? Ghibta, jealousy is forbidden, but ghibta is good. Ghibta means, for example, you got a beautiful recital of the Quran. I haven't, so I should yearn to have your recital, but wanting no harm to come to you.
Yeah.
So that is how we look at this person in paradise. He will not want any harm to come, but obviously he will wish all the best for you, but he will certainly realize this.
With no malice or anything like that. That's the main thing, isn't it?
But the thing is, if I was to put you on the spot, Ibs, and I said this person, this lowest person in paradise, has he got everything at his beck and call?
Yes, he has, yeah.
So if he's got everything at his beck and call, how can he be envious?
Yeah, he just...
You understand? It's very difficult, because dunya into paradise is very... for example, I'll give you another... a person, and it's a female, I won't mention who it was. She says, how come men have all these hoodies? And this is a classic question, for the females. And I said, what is the verse in the Quran? And she goes, what does it say? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that there will be nobody unhappy in paradise. So basically, it's a non-question. If you're in paradise, Allah Ta'ala says you're not going to be upset, you're going to be happy. And you're actually asking, but in paradise, what have you got? Because it's a worldly question. Right? Once you're there, that will not be on your radar. You will just be in ecstasy. In fact, somebody might have probe you with that. Oh, remember that time that you was asking? Forget it. It's getting there. No point discussing the fiqh, as one brother mentioned in paradise. It's getting there.
Just on that point as well, you said, will you remember things that happen in dunya?
Yes.
Okay.
That's part of the blessings. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, and that's amazing if you think about that. Because think about it, you've been through the grave, you've been through the day of judgment. Imagine the scars, right? You've seen hell. Don't forget, in the grave you see hell. You cross the bridge of Sirat. You've gone through an extraordinary journey. And guess what? You remember Donald. Really, you think, well, hang on a minute, how do you remember Donald? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is the hadith, is in Bayhaqi Bazaar, authentic hadith. The people will be sitting on couches in paradise, and they will discuss their life in the world. And then one of them will say to the other, remember that time you were sitting and he mentioned something in the world. and Allah Ta'ala forgave us. Allahu Akbar. So because you now know the rewards, we haven't got paid yet. For example, hopefully, inshallah, we'll look back and we'll say, remember that time we were sitting in Iman Studios in Attercliff, and Ibs, Allah Ta'ala forgave us. And Waj came in and he also got the blessings, mashallah. Subhanallah, inshallah, why not? Right, so
the blessings are outside, by the way, the two-piece chicken waiting for you. Right. Just, and I'm asking a lot of questions here now, Yousef. I forgot what it is now. I'm talking about chicken and chips now.
Mashallah. Qaasim, you can ask someone. No, yeah, it's mashallah.
There's a question that somebody asked me. It was actually on the studio phone, but it wasn't at this show. It was the question that came in before. They'd asked it before, and it was to do with how would you take for your loved ones if they don't make it to Jannah, they go to the hellfire. Then how would you be in peace and bliss?
Yeah.
If knowing that your loved ones are not in Jannah?
That's a good question. And the answer is Allah Ta'ala will never upset the people of paradise. Right? Now, you actually know this before you enter paradise. There's a report mentioning that when a person is a recent dead, he dies recently, he goes on the journey, the miraculous journey to the heavens, if he's passed. And the hadith in Tabarani, authentic, says that he passes the dead, and the dead surround him. And for that moment, he still thinks he's alive. So he's seeing people that he's thinking, where are these dead people come from? So look how strange. You're dead, but you're not fully there yet. And then the dead, one of the wise dead ones says, leave him. He's just come out from the world of trouble, the world of tribulation. And then eventually they start asking you. He goes, so-and-so, how's my son? Did he get married? And you say, yes. And then all of a sudden, one statement comes out. A person asks, what about so-and-so? And then you respond, he's already died. Hasn't he come this way? And then there's a pause. Meaning you work it out. That's the point, you work it out. Actually in Barzakh, you think he must have gone the other way. So you know beforehand. It's not you waiting for paradise. Yeah. As soon as you die.
So it's Barzakh stage.
Yeah, Barzakh stage.
Paradise.
And then obviously when you enter paradise, the only way to look at it is that who can be more merciful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If they've ended up in hell, it's not as if, if he had done this, he's the most merciful of those who show mercy.
He exhausted every avenue, basically.
So it's like, no injustice has been done. No. Yeah, and that's why the hadith mentions in Kanzul Umar, hell is for the stupid. Meaning you didn't even know how to get the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, that's the way to look at it,
I remember my question now, come back to me in a short time. Is there such a thing as anything on earth which we can say, this is part of paradise on earth? And there's something about the masjids and this and that. So, apart from, what is there basically on earth?
That's a very good question, mashallah.
Pomegranate is something you
Qaasim, when it comes to food, he doesn't let. But these are the things I know that are on earth, they're from paradise. One is the black stone, which is in the corner of the Kaaba. That's from paradise. The other is the Maqam of Ibrahim, where the blessed footprint of Ibrahim is next to the Kaaba, alayhi salatu wasalam. One actually mentions that the floor of the Dome of the Rock, that's also, but it's a weak hadith in Jerusalem. Sorry.
Sorry, you got
okay, okay. And the other is Brother Qaasim. One grain, one seed of the pomegranate is from paradise. Ibn Abbas mentioned radiyallahu anhu. And there are and also masjids. Right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in Tabarani, all the masjids will return to paradise. Now look how beautiful that is. When you each and every time you go to masjid, you're going to paradise. So how on earth are you going to end up in hell if you're entering paradise on the earth? So every time you're praying in the masjid, you think, Allah, somebody will be eternally in pleasure where I'm praying, where I'm reading, where I'm doing a dars. Think about that. And that's why you should yearn for the masjids, subhanAllah.
Okay, that's it. That's the end of the show for this week. Inshallah, we will see you same time, same place next week. Repeat is on Saturday morning, 10 till 12. 8 till 10. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.